Morning, dear students. Here we come back to the chapter Lost Spring. In the previous videos, you people might have seen that we people spoke about the first part of the chapter Lost Spring, written by Anis Chan. Let's recall a little of what we have learned in the previous two videos. The first video related to this chapter Lost Spring, I have taken the first part in which the hero or the protagonist of the story around which the story rotates is a boy named Sahib. As I have informed you earlier, this chapter is having two parts. Part 1 is about a boy named Sahib who is a rag picker. The entire stress in this chapter on the two characters of the two parts is about the exploitation done towards the children. That's why the chapter is having a tag name named as Stories of Stolen Childhood. And in this about Sahib, we have seen that he is a rag picker whom our author happens to meet quite often. And then we saw the conversation between the two, where the boy seems to be interested in studying, but due to lack of school in his surrounding, in his neighborhood, he could not fulfill that dream of his and he has to stick to rag picking. Moreover, he knows nothing other than rag picking. Then we have seen in the conversation that how our author, she spoke about the footwears, how she found while moving around in the country that people used to walk barefoot, and the excuse given was tradition, which she considered to be simply an excuse to cover the perpetual state of poverty in the country. She spoke about the changes in the situations through the story being said to her by a man from Udupi. But still there is much more to be done. Next we have come across the living condition of these rag pickers who live in Simapuri, a place which is there in Delhi, but with regard to advancement, development, it is far away from Delhi. Here, the inhabitants are maximum Bangladeshi who had been here from 1971 with an intention to earn and fulfill the stomach of their family. They are the houses. They were just structures of mud with tin or tarpaulin roof, devoid of sewage, sanitation, drainage. Around some 10,000 rag picker families stayed there. And basically, though they never had any kind of basic amenities, but they had ration cards, for purchasing food and definitely for voting. I'm not trying to paint anything weird, but it's really a matter to think over, that government must pay attention and they must think whether for vote banks this is necessary. And then further we saw the comments being given by these inhabitants of those place that if they go to bed with filled up stomach, they are least bothered about other amenities and identity. The children, they grow up in the same circumstances and they get accustomed to this style of living. Now when we talk about the garbage is like gold to them. Gold is precious, valuable. And for them, garbage is valuable because it's their bread, source of income. And then we saw that how the author says that for parents it's a means of earning, but for children it is sometimes more than that. Surprises, wrapped up wonders, because sometimes they get more than what they are actually searching for. Sometime a rupee, sometime a 10 rupee. And then she also spoke about how the desires of Sahib is being expressed, that he wants to go and play a game of tennis which was beyond his limit. But still, he got the shoes, a rejected one from maybe some of the child, a rich boy. And then we have seen that how he got a job in a tea stall at the end of the road, which he showed to the author. But there was a difference. When he was a rag picker picking up the rags, he seemed to be more carefree, more happy, because he was his own master. But now he was working for someone else. Okay, for 800 rupees and all meals, but still. Now he was an employee. He was working for somebody else. He no longer carried his own plastic bag, but a steel canister which belonged to somebody else. And this way, he has lost his independence. Now he was a worker. Then we people started, after this part came to an end, the second part, where we came across another character, Mukesh. Mukesh, who wants to become a motor mechanic. But you know actually what he does? He's a bangle maker. When the author asked, do you know how to drive a vehicle, a car? He said, I'll learn driving car. There was dream, but a dream like a mirage. A mirage. Something that fades out. Something which is just an illusion, an imagination. Don't know whether it will be fulfilled or not. Mukesh belongs to Firozabad. Now Firozabad. When we talk about Firozabad, every second family or other family of Firozabad is engaged in bangle making. And it has been said that it is the center of India's glass blowing industry, and then the ladies of our land who wear on bangles of varied colors are made by these bangle making families. Do you know, it is illegal for children like Mukesh to work in such factories with high temperatures, no proper air, light. And if law is enforced, most probably thousands of children will be out of such place where they are slogging, often losing the brightness of their eyes. When the author said, I would like to see your house, Mukesh's eyes beamed. It lighted up. He was very happy. And he said that his house is bit rebuilt. So he voluntarily took the author to his house. They walked down stinking lanes, houses with wobbly doors, crumbling walls, no windows. Families of human and animals staying together, crowded like in the olden time. Then he stopped in front of one of his house. And it was his house, again with the wobbly door. And he banged open the door, with his leg. And then they entered into a half-built shack. A part of that shack was having its roof covered with dead grass. And it was a kitchen. A firewood was set up over there, firewood stove, on which a big vessel was there in which spinach leaves were sizzling, as getting cooked. On the ground, a big aluminium plate was there in which chopped vegetables were lying down. Near that firewood stove, a frame, means not very healthy. Young lady, she was cooking the evening meal for the family. She smiled at the author and her eyes were filled with tears. No, no, no. Don't get confused. It's not tears of sadness or anything. Because she was using the firewood stove, the smoke was bringing tears, water in her eyes. So, with eyes filled with smoke and water, she smiled at the author. Do you know who she is? She is the wife of Mukesh's elder brother. Yeah, you're correct. Bahu of the house, daughter in law. A big responsibility on her shoulder. Why? Because she has to look after three men of the house, her own husband, then Mukesh, and definitely their father. And when the old man he entered the house, this lady, as the custom says in our country, that an elderly old man came inside, an elderly man came and she's supposed to veil. Veil means cover her face with the sari. And then this elderly man who worked years, who tilled, who did a lot of hard work. First he was a tailor, then he became the bangle maker. He could not renovate the house also and could not send his sons for education. Only he managed to teach them what he himself learned. And what he learned? Bangle making. That is what he learned and he did. This is what we have done in the previous videos. Let's now continue. It is his karam, his destiny, says Mukesh's grandmother, who has watched her own husband go blind with the dust from polishing the glass of bangles. Can a God-given lineage ever be broken? She implies. Born in the caste of bangle makers, they have seen nothing but bangles. In the house, in the yard, in every other house, every other yard, every street in Firozabad. Spirals of bangles. Excuse me for the scrolling. Sunny gold, paddy green, royal blue, pink, purple, every color born out of the 7 colors of the rainbow lie in mounds in unkept yards, are piled on 4-wheeled handcarts pushed by young men along the narrow lanes of the shanty town, and in dark hutments next to lines of flames of flickering oil lamps sit boys and girls with their fathers and mothers, welding pieces of colored glass into circles of bangles. Their eyes are more adjusted to the dark than to the light outside. That is why they often end up losing their eyesight before they become adults. So very pathetic. When the author spoke about their profession, Mukesh's grandmother, old lady, quite experienced, who had seen, who has witnessed her own husband turning blind because of this polishing of the glass bangle, you know what she said? It is karma, the destiny. Then she said that a business which has been a lineage, means from generation to generation, it is being given by God. God has chosen these people to make bangles, and when God has chosen, nobody can change it. She believes that born in the caste of bangle makers, they had always seen bangles, nothing else. In every second house, in the yards, courtyards, Amen. Every street in Firozabad, spirals of bangles, means the bangles when tied up and kept on in a heap, varied colors, blue, green, pink, golden, purple, like as if though the rainbow colors have come there. Mounds of unkept yards, Piles of these bangles on four-wheeled handcarts are taken by the young men to the market. And while they do this, they pass through the narrow lanes of the shanty town, the unkept town, dirty. And in the dark hutments, the houses, I already told you, houses with no proper ventilation, with human and animals all staying together. In the flickering oil lamps, means no proper light also, boys and girls with their fathers and mothers, they weld the pieces of colored glass bangles. You might have seen that the glass bangles, they are having a kind of a welding part where both the ends of the glass is brought together and it is welded, giving it a circle shape. And then it has been said that their eyes are so accustomed to the darkness that the daylight gives them trouble. And maximum of these boys and girls, by the time they reach to their middle age or an elderly age, they lose their eyesight. Let's continue further. Savita, a young girl in a drab pink dress, sits alongside an elderly woman, soldering pieces of glass. As her hands move mechanically like the tongs of a machine, I wonder if she knows the sanctity of the bangles she helps make. It symbolizes an Indian woman's suhag, auspiciousness in marriage. It will dawn on her suddenly one day when her head is draped with a red veil, her hands dyed red with henna, and red bangles rolled onto her wrists. She will then become a bride, like the old woman beside her, who became one many years ago. She still has bangles on her wrists, but no light in her eyes. एक वक्त शेर भर खाना भी नहीं खाया, she says, in a voice drained of joy. She has not enjoyed even one full meal in her entire lifetime. That's what she has reaped. Her husband, an old man with a flowing beard, says, I know nothing except bangles. All I have done is make a house for the family to live in. My dear students, 1 year in the examination, the question came regarding this young girl named Savita, about her situation, the circumstances in which she was working. So please kindly pay attention to all these facts. In the story, there is this girl named Savita. She is wearing a pink dress and she's sitting now next to an elderly woman, and that elderly woman is actually she's old, and the hands of Savita, it was working mechanically like the tongs. Means when a person gets used to, is an expert in a work, gets used to it, and they all make these bangles, which in India means a lot because they are the symbol of a woman's suhag, which is considered very auspicious and important in marriages. And then maybe this girl, she don't even know about the purity and importance of these bangles, and she will come to know about it the day when she herself will get married. The day she will get married, on her head a veil will be there, her hands will be having henna, and on her wrist will be red bangles. She'll become a bride. जब वो दुल्हन बन जाएगी. And exactly the way the old woman sitting beside her, who was still having bangles in her wrist, but no light in her eyes. You know what that old lady said to the author? She said, एक वक्त शेर भर खाना भी नहीं खाया. I feel really sad and sorry for these people. After working for years, after losing the eyesight, if a person says that she never had in her whole life one time meal properly, it brings tears in the eyes. Is this what she has got after all these years of hard work? Is this what she had got out of the life? Her husband, who is still alive, which tells us through the bangles on her wrist, he says, what I could do? I know nothing except bangle making. And one thing only I could do for my family, and that was making a house to live. At least a house to live in. Hearing him, one wonders if he has achieved what many have failed in their lifetime. He has a roof over his head. So the author says, after I spoke to all these people, I start thinking that whether this man, Savita's maybe grandfather, he has achieved one thing which others failed, that is have a roof over their head. So most probably, that's true. I would like to end up this part, this video here, and the rest of the part of the chapter I will end up with my next video. Till then, goodbye and take care.